Hi, thank you for joining me today, and I'm really excited that this is the first day of Scraptember. It's a month-long series of prompts provided to us by the Scrappy sisters and Laura Alberts, and today, day one, the prompt is family. So I decided to use Serenity from 49 and Market to create this layout. It's a picture of my family with mum and dad when we went on our annual summer holiday this year to Herm, and mum had befriended a chap when we'd gone for a walk, and he took a photo of us all together. So that's what I'm documenting, a photo of the six of us and the story behind it. So this 12 by 12 paper, I trimmed what I thought was the branding strip off, but I wasn't focusing, and I actually trimmed an extra half an inch off. So I'm just trimming that same half inch off the other side, and I'm going to have to mat this onto a paper. I'm considering using one of the other pattern papers in the collection, but in the end I settled on just matting it on white cardstock. I was a bit frustrated with it at first, but in fact it really works out nicely because of the white of this cut file that I'm using. It sort of mirrors that and gives a nice frame to the layout, so all worked out in the end. So this cut file is from Hey Little Magpie. It's one of the Amelia Creates cut files, and I've just backed it with some of the 6x8 pattern papers, the dark blue that you can see there, and now I'm going to cut some strips from the other 6x8 papers to layer behind the photo. I really don't have very much at all left of this collection, probably enough for one more layout after this one. I have enjoyed it, but it's been quite challenging because it is, I was talking to my friend Julie the other day and saying it really is quite wishy-washy, this collection, and whilst I'm not generally a bright colour scrapper, I think it was just a little bit too bland. So it worked really nicely for our photos of Lapland, where it was the dark skies all the time. But I think I would have struggled to use much more than I have. But anyway, it worked really nicely for this photo. The lounge at the hotel that we were staying at is decorated in blues and greys. So you can see that in the rug beneath our feet and the grey fireplace. So I thought this would be the right collection to use, and it was. It's really nice. So just matting that photo onto some scrap white cardstock and then adding a mat behind it. So settle on this paper here. The 6x8 packs that you get from 49 and Market have 3 of each of the papers. It's a lot of papers in each of those packs. So whilst they might look a little bit spendy, they are well worth it. You do get a lot in them. And they're brilliant for matting and adding layers behind your photos like I've done today. So I've just gone off screen and sanded the edges. I couldn't think of the word, distressed the edges with my Tim Holtz edge distresser there of that mat. You can see it's nicely distressed, and now I'm going to do exactly the same with these strips that are going behind the photo. So just layering them back up again, and then I shall get them adhered down. So I decide to bring in my tissue tape to stick these down. It's just an easy tear, double-sided tape, just to make sure that I get a good adhesion and it doesn't move around the page. So that was the reason behind that. And you can see on this pattern paper there is almost a box behind where I'm putting these layers, so it was a great place to focus these on. And then once these are down, I can add the photo and start working on the layers that I'll be putting behind it. Like I say, I don't have an awful lot of this collection left, but I still have plenty of the chipboard, some of the ephemera pieces and the laser cut pieces, and I've just popped them all into one bag together. So I shall tip those out in a minute and go through and see what I can add around the photo here. So that's those layers all down, so then I can work out where this photo is going to go. I bring the cut file back in just to check that I don't bring it in too low, because I have a tendency to do that when I'm adding a title underneath the photo. So just double checking there, and then bringing in these 25mm Sticks 2 foam pads to add to that photo, just to raise it up above everything else. There's quite a lot of texture going on. These papers are very thick, and with the distressed edges underneath, it makes it quite bulky. So I thought the foam pads would just help to get that in place. So you can see I've swapped that back cardstock to white card, and that will definitely be what I use to mat this layout onto. So I'm just coming in with my foam pads again, this time the 6x12 ones, and I'm going to back the whole of this cut file with them just to raise it up to the same height as the photo, and then it can just lay over the top ever so slightly at the top there. So pulling the backs off and I'll get that stuck down. And there you go. So you can see this is coming together really nicely now. So here I am with those ephemera pieces and chipboard pieces and layers of cut pieces, and just starting to build up. Straight away I move towards the tickets. I really do love tickets, so just adding some layers of those to the left and at the top, and then just having a look to see what else I can see. And I find this word phrase, and it says, "I'll always be with you." And I just thought that was a really nice sentiment for a family photo. So I'm going to layer that over the cut file, as you can see there. This leaf works really nicely on the left-hand side, just drawing the eye up the left there. And then I love this little flare piece that says "all for you." A little butterfly at the top there. And then I can start gluing things down. Sometimes when I know where things are going to be, it helps just to glue these down before I carry on embellishing. So this ticket I should have stuck before those leaves, so I'll just have a little fiddle to get that tucked underneath. There we go. And then that ticket at the top. And the butterfly there. So I'm just going to take this off and distress the edges again, just so that it gives a bit of definition between the edges of the paper and that white background. And I do love how that looks. I used my scissors because I wanted a more rustic look, so I wanted it to cut it in places as well. So I'm just going to add the journaling here, and there's quite a bit of journaling because it is a story to tell. I've just written that Channel 5 were filming a series all about the Channel Islands. A friend at the crop had mentioned it at the Warrington crop, as their brother lives in Jersey. It was no surprise that Granny befriended a couple when we were on our walk around the island, and it turned out they were dairy farmers on Guernsey and featured in the series. After dinner, we had a chat and he took this photo for us. So nice to have a photo together. So it was really nice to get that story down, and so funny that we've been talking about it at home and then we met some people who are actually being featured in that programme. So I've just used my tab punch there, my EK Success tab punch, to punch a tab shape out to add to the top of the page, and I'm going to date stamp onto some scrap white card and then add that to the top. I've also added another ticket up there just to create another layer, and that's that stuck down. And I do decide that I want to add some foam pads just to raise that up, and I love the height and definition that that provides. It looked a little bit odd flat against the page with the photo so raised as well. So now coming in with the rub-ons from this collection, and I'm just going to see if I can embellish the paper a little bit more. It's quite a plain piece that I'd chosen, so I'm just going to embellish around the sides of that family cut file. So first of all, using this lovely blue flower, it's like a periwinkle flower, and that's just going to be rubbed onto the right hand side there. There was a tiny bit left on the rub-on, so I've just added that to the left, not wanting to waste anything. I knew that a tiny piece like that would just get lost if I didn't add it to the page now, so better to add it. So just checking that everything's rubbed down and then pulling off that backing. And as I pull it out from behind that Y, there is a little bit left, so I just rub that up the top and then a little bit on the left here. And then because I've added so much weight to the right hand side of that title, I decide that I need to add more to the left. So just finding another floral on this sheet, and that will be added to the left there. So I do have to pull up some of the bits that I've stuck down, but it's no problem to do that. So just again, rubbing it all down onto the page, and then I can glue those pieces back down properly afterwards. There we go. So then just having a look through to see what else there is on these rub-ons, and I love the phrases that are on there. So I'm just pulling out this one that says "love this" and layering that up over the top, and it's just a really subtle layer that it adds. So I'm just struggling to get the backing paper off this, so I have to use my little pin to pull it up off the page. And then another piece that just says "peaceful." And again, I think that works nicely with this photo, so just adding that to that left-hand side. So nearly there now with the rub-ons. There's not much left to add, but I do find a few more bits. So this piece is just going on the right hand side there, and it says one fine day. And you can see there's a little bit that's been cut off in the top right hand side that says love you. And I am going to add that actually to the main photo itself. First of all, just going through, seeing if there's anything else that I can tuck in to add as embellishments. And I decided to use this half ticket up the top there. And I love how that changes the shape of that top piece there. I wanted something at the bottom left here because I felt it was a little bit empty there. So just adding that chipboard butterfly. And then here I am grabbing that rub-on and adding it to the top left-hand corner. So please do check the description box down below to see the playlist of everybody else who's joining in on this fabulous hop. I'm hoping to be here every day through September. We'll see what the month brings. But hopefully I shall see you again tomorrow. Thanks so much. Bye.